Hello, everyone. Welcome to History with Hersefet. I'm your host, Chris, aka Hersefet. Today, I'll be speaking with a couple of revered individuals, Baller and Nick, about conspiracy theories. The views shared on this podcast come from your everyday, ordinary people. My hope is that it'll give a unique perspective on history. How is everyone this afternoon? How are you, lovely people?
Very good.
Very good.
I'm all right.
Very good.
You're all right, Baller?
Yeah.
I'm glad that
Just
you're
tired.
back. You're back again. I wasn't sure how long it would take, but yeah, I'm more than happy to have you back on, especially talking about conspiracy theories. This should
I can definitely do that.
this should be good. Yeah. So for future podcasts, we're 2 episodes away from completing our review of the 2000s, the aughts. For 2008, we should be coming up on that, if not this Saturday, depending on what happens, definitely the week after, and then 2009. Might even do a overview of the whole thing, like the top 10 songs of the decade, music, movies, that sort of thing, albums. That might be fun. And then
For sure.
maybe by the end of the month, sometime in July, I think we'll get into, this is probably one I'll just do on my own, Roe v. Wade. Just talk about it and whatnot. Just seems to be the way to go about it. As for now, since we're all acquainted with one another and our audience is with you guys, we will start with our first conspiracy theory. Or is it a conspiracy? I think it's a conspiracy. Is the
I guess we could just
actually, Nick, if you want to go ahead
first.
and define the two for
it's very
the
simple.
people at home.
Yeah, it's very simple. So like basically a conspiracy will actually have evidence, right? Like it's going to be like 2 or more people that conspire to do something. So technically, like if 2 people like robbed a bank, that's a conspiracy, But ultimately, a good definition is like it's like a result of like investigating the causes of an event is a conspiracy. So what a conspiracy theory then is basically the result of rejecting the evidence that explains an event. So like in conspiracy theory, there really isn't any evidence, and it's just a claim, and most of the time it's quite a big claim. Yeah.
Big claims with no evidence. Sounds good.
Right.
All right. Thank you for that. So our first, so this would be a conspiracy theory, because as far as I know, there's absolutely no evidence for this at all. And that is the New World Order. Then people have heard of this before. Not the wrestling group, not the NWO, none of that. No, there are people out there who really think that there's an entire secret organization, super secret, of Freemasons and the Illuminati,
right,
and the Skull and Bones, all these secret organizations that are pulling the strings and control the entire planet. Super secret, but everybody knows about it. I've never met anybody who's actually met anybody from this New World Order, or never gotten a flyer from the New World Order, never stumbled across their website. It just seems
it is exclusive.
It's very exclusive. So exclusive, no one has any idea if anybody that's in it, or has ever heard of it. Anybody that's actually in the New World Order.
Kind of like Antifa.
Well, Antifa, there are people in Antifa, and they're actually they're there. They're real.
They are there, yes.
But
they're
yes.
So not like Antifa.
You could do the exact opposite.
No, it's not like that at all.
You can do the exact opposite. You can do that. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's New World Order. I remember hearing about this. There's also biblical implications. The people, the religious right, or just the religious in general, people who are like evangelicals that believe in like end times, that it's going to happen, that the New World Order is being brought upon by like the Antichrist,
the blood moon,
and all this crap, and absolutely no evidence for it at all. Yeah, I remember that. Nick and I,
John Hagee,
our father used to, and still does, we'd see like a blood red moon, that happens, and he would say,
Mhm.
he would tell us horror stories about, this means God's coming back and he's going to take only the people that are, saved by him, saved through him, and everyone else is going to be
Mhm.
burning in hell. Have a good night.
Right, and he would also talk about how there'd be a new world order and
Right, New
stuff
World
too,
Order as the whole thing, yeah.
along with it, and it's
It's
what's funny about that is actually it's kind of like it's even gotten bigger, like it's spread even further. Like that's a conspiracy theory. Then there's conspiracy theories that are inside of that conspiracy theory,
Mhm.
like how you say like
Lizard
they're
people.
lizard people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get to
it just continues.
the lizard people here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, in a second.
Everybody has
No, you're fine. You're fine.
everything like flows into pretty much that right there.
Yeah, it's the all-encompassing
people.
theory.
Focal point.
You could just throw it all under the blanket of New World Order. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah,
Like it was their fault. They made it happen.
Right.
This next one here, we'll move on here. Fake snow developed by Bill Gates in cahoots with the Chinese government for reasons that were never clear. Basically, on TikTok, it was this TikTok thing where people found snow, and they took a lighter to it, and the snow didn't melt. It didn't turn to water. And they were like, what is going on here? And instead it burned the snow. No, they burned the snow, right? And they're like, snow doesn't burn. Snow doesn't burn. And like a science teacher, a substitute science teacher from a local community school was like, so basically you're adding energy to the snow. So when you heat up snow, it doesn't melt, it just burns. And so like when you add heat to it, it skips the water phase and goes straight to the steam, aka gas. It skips.
Right.
And so, but people don't realize that. So they just think that it's like burning the snow. And so it's that, and see, there's like an underlying.
So I'm wondering, like, how did they get to Bill Gates?
They just throw Bill Gates in there. Like he must have been it.
Well,
Bill Gates gets blamed
they
for.
They do work with each other a lot.
I'm sorry?
They do work with each other a lot. China and
who?
Oh, China and Bill. Okay. So, but
why
nuclear power?
Are you saying you believe this conspiracy baller?
Fake snow? Yeah.
Are you saying there's some credence to this? Is there some?
Well, he does do workings with them, and he is in the nuclear power area.
Yeah,
so
but
it's not too far fetched.
So we'll throw that under a maybe for baller.
Snow?
Well, here's my thing. What's the point? They already have fake snow. They have it on movie sets. Well, why do they?
Here. Can you define Occam's razor real quick?
Cold, because that would be something.
I don't believe so. If you bring it inside and it's above 32 degrees, it'll melt. Like I said, it was on TikTok, and people are doing like this TikTok challenge, and people are like, Bill Gates, is working with Chinese. They're working with weather manipulation, and it's fake snow, and it's here to all this stuff, and it's just madness. And it's one substitute, like anybody with basic knowledge of what do you call it, physics, or like in terms of what do you call it? I can't think of the names. Go figure. Right as
I think you have to do that just to give it merit.
Yeah, maybe. Endo. Oh fuck, Christ! There's that joke where it's like if heaven is or hell's frozen over because there's so much like so cram packed with people that it's actually frozen over.
Yeah.
So like the rate is moving at such an expansive rate that that it's actually cold, so hell is frozen over, and heaven would actually be quite hot. I can't think of the term. If someone wants to jibber jabber on about fake snow while I look that up, because it's going to piss me off.
I have no idea. All I'm saying, fake snow, the connection with it is ridiculous. So I'd say that the simplest explanation is usually the best one, and typically, and in this case, actually, science was a great explanation of it. Like Chris, Hersefat said, the science teacher, the substitute science teacher figured it out. But these people think it's a huge weather manipulating conspiracy by Bill Gates in China. That seems ridiculous. That seems absolutely ridiculous. But yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's thermal energy, but it's like endothermic and exothermic or something like that. It's basically the innie and the outie.
Okay.
But how it works
Gotcha.
is, what I said there is essentially heaven would be on fire and hell would actually have frozen over by now. So
Right. Yeah.
that's that we'll move on from fake snow. The next conspiracy here, or theory, big pharma has the cure for cancer, but they just won't give it out because they make too much money by withholding the cure for cancer.
Oh yes, of course.
Thoughts, Baller,
The way
Nick?
that
Do you guys?
that
What do you think this is?
I would
What credence do
say
you think this holds? How much weight do you think this
I
holds?
would none whatsoever. I think that if they had the cure for cancer,
Well,
the way that this country is, first of all, that wouldn't
technically
be a
they
secret.
do.
Someone would. There's so many people. Hold on, give me a second, baller. So there's so many people in the healthcare care field, in the pharmaceutical industry, that it wouldn't be kept a secret for that long. It would come out eventually. There's too many people in that industry
Mm-hmm.
for it to stay quiet for so long. That's number one. But also, they could make an outrageous amount of money on whatever the cure is. So why wouldn't they do that?
Good point.
Why wouldn't they just release it? And because they can make so much money on it. Okay, go ahead, baller.
Baller,
Well,
thoughts?
they have found the cure, and it is radiation. That's why you have to go through chemotherapy.
But oftentimes people go through chemo and the cancer
Well,
will
no,
come
well that's
back.
why it's called. Well, baller, that's why it's called a treatment.
Right. Well,
It's not a
see,
cure.
the cure is killing the
Because
cancer, and you have to kill the cancer, but doing so is also killing you. You
yeah,
have
but look,
to
but
rebuild an immune system afterwards too, and you have to do all that shit.
sure, but like that doesn't mean that they've completely gotten rid of the cancer. A lot of the times the cancer comes
Yeah,
back.
it could,
It's just a it's just a
but
treatment.
that also
It's
goes
not
down
ultimately.
to your molecular
Well, I mean,
level, your
no, it's
RNA.
good that you did bring this up though, however, because if there is an actual cure for cancer, they have brought out the best possible way they can deal with cancer already, and they make money on that. Everyone knows about it, like Baller just brought it up. If they had an actual cure, believe me, they'd bring it out just like they
Right,
did with
but
that. Yeah,
they do
exactly.
make tons of money off of doing that
Right. Yeah, and that's
because
what I'm saying.
the cost of
They wouldn't pass that up.
those drugs themselves are
Outrageous.
outrageous.
Yeah. And they wouldn't pass up that opportunity, especially if they had the actual cure, not
Right.
just a treatment.
Yeah, I feel like the world's just a money grab. That's all it is. It just tries to take
Well,
everything
in this
from you.
country, the way the healthcare system is run, it's a business. So yeah, they would try to capitalize on any way to make a lot more income.
I find
So
that
I mean, it just makes sense.
that's a big issue. One of the underlining things about these conspiracies and why they spawn seems to me, I mean, in the way that the country is run, we are a capitalist society where our healthcare is not free and pharmaceutical industries make
Right.
billions a year. If that was not the case, this
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy wouldn't be out there. No one would think that.
Exactly.
It's only there because they make money. And people who make money typically aren't, you see it a lot, and that's another part of it, that they're not the best people. They don't have your best interests. They have their own interests in mind, and that's usually
Right.
making more money.
Right.
And so people think it's only human nature. So I bet you they probably have the cure for cancer. It's another one of those things that people, think, well, yeah, I guess that kind of does make sense. But even though, it makes sense, so to speak, doesn't make it true. And that is a
Right.
hard lesson for a lot of people to learn. It
Yeah,
just
it is the
it's a
thing.
pickle.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, it's usually like the simplest explanation, and so a lot of these explanations that they use, they're really kind of out there.
Right.
They really kind of have to reach for something in order to come up with that.
Yeah.
Occam,
If they
Well, you
had
have to
some
make
sort of
it seem catchy.
exactly,
Mhm.
Occam's razor is what
I was
I
gonna say,
was bringing
yeah,
up earlier.
Occam's
Yeah.
razor would cut through all these. And Occam's razor, for people who don't know, is that the simplest explanation is usually the right one. or something. That's paraphrased, but that's essentially what it means.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we'll move on now from big pharma as the cure for cancer to chemtrails.
Oh no.
Nick.
Oh man, fucking chemtrails, man. So like what I know of this at least is that there's a picture that was floating around, but it was from Agent Orange, from like Vietnam,
Okay.
which I mean that definitely happened.
Right.
We know that happened. Very unfortunate, horrible shit. But that picture was floating around, and then they were suggesting that that was the chemical that we were using in in the, what did you call it, or whatever, I can't think of the name of it already. The chemtrails. Yeah. But the thing is that it's just so cold up there, and there's just a lot of moisture, and that trail they're leaving behind is basically just that.
Right.
It's very simple, and it doesn't take much to understand. And these people, for some reason, want to come up with, like, I think it's mind control or something that they suggest, or it's kind of like the fluoride in the water.
Yeah, we'll get there. That's the last one. That's number 23.
Yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to name any that.
I doubt we'll get there, but we might have to save some of these for next time or for another episode of these. There's so many we could just dive into.
There are. There are.
It's like chemtrails is just that apparently have been going on for as long as I've been alive. Because if what they say is chemtrails are actually chemtrails, I've been seeing those since I was a kid, and no one else has caught on this. No university, nobody getting their PhD or anything like that. Nobody trying to write a thesis or like, hey, maybe let's look into this.
Right.
None of this. No credible scientists or anybody suggests this is even true. It's only the people that you wouldn't buy anything they're selling anyway. Not to generalize here.
To quote Hitchens, it's kind of like he should be selling pencils from a cup.
Right.
It's all rusty.
Right. I wouldn't be buying,
no one would be listening to them.
Yeah. They're holding empty sacks and telling you there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Right. It's such a ludicrous idea, and it is only believed by certain population, like certain groups of population, that don't really, they're easily suckered. They're easily fooled. They're more gullible. And the underlining thing for almost all of us is just a lack of education, a lack of critical thinking. You could underline that
for sure
as a cause for every single one of these conspiracies or conspiracies.
I could also, I mean, a lot of it though too is us as humans and how we like to connect the dots, right?
Right.
And how having a healthy amount of skepticism is important in this sort of situation.
Right.
And that if you're over connecting the dots, you're going to be attaching things that aren't correlated whatsoever.
Right.
And that's where these conspiracy theories come from. Here's the thing though, is that it makes people feel better about something that they that they can understand in a more reasonable, logical way. But if they have this reason given to them, this dot that's then connected for them, or they think they figured it out by reading or watching something online, then now they're convinced of this conspiracy theory.
It seems to...
and they feel comfortable, like they feel like they have the answer. You know what I mean?
Right.
They feel like now they're saying they're woke, or they're saying, they're calling everyone else sheep.
Right. Sheeple.
For believing in. Yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, I just wouldn't add that too, because other than lack of education, of course, it is kind of a primal instinct, right, to connect dots to things and make sense of the.
Right. It's why we thought
around you.
And going with the pack.
Right.
And right, and that'll bring you religion too, right? Exactly.
Well,
so,
yeah. I mean, just just any higher power is the reasons for tsunamis, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, tornadoes, hurricanes, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
It's
just like that. It's exactly like that.
And so when you have a lack of education and our own human desire to understand the world and make something fit, even if it doesn't. You'd rather have a poor theory than no theory at all. That's seemingly how it goes.
Well,
and
exactly.
You do. You pretty much make what you think. Like you materialize that almost like that's what that would be, because kind of when you make a conspiracy theory, you're pretty much making a story, and when you're making a story, it doesn't usually end.
What did you
or
think?
You don't
of,
usually have a.
Sorry.
You usually can't find an end.
Yeah, there's conveniently no end. It's just ongoing. It's perpetually happening. What's the end goal? What's the point of this? So sometimes they don't know.
Yeah.
Baller, do you have any thoughts on chemtrails? Well, you don't have to. We can skip on to the next one. We could say no.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Move on.
The next one. Vaccines cause autism. Vaccines cause autism. I looked into this a while back, and this was one doctor wrote a paper about vaccines apparently causing autism. He's like a quack. He's been disbarred. He's not allowed to practice medicine anymore.
Right.
He's like like jail time and stuff like that. But
I wish
the
paper should say that on it too.
Well,
right.
As far as I know, autism, as far as I know, there's a lot of questions left unanswered about it.
Oh, for sure.
But there aren't so many questions left unanswered about the vaccine.
Right. Exactly.
That is supposedly caused
it. For everyone to get the vaccine, if they caused autism, there'd be an insane amount of people with autism, and there are a lot of people who don't have it. Now, autism, from what I know, the limited knowledge is there are spectrums to autism. There are different levels to it, in a sense. Some people are slightly autistic, some people are more so.
Right.
Some people are fully functionally, autistic, and some people need a lot of help. But in no way has it ever been shown that vaccines cause it. This seems to me one of those things, again, where I can see that, that makes sense. And there it is. That's all they need. That's the dot connected. It makes sense to them, so they're okay, and they'll typically hold themselves up in something that is just an echo chamber of sorts, where it just reinforces their already foolish belief. And then they'll get other people in, almost like a religion, where they can't keep it to themselves. They've got to tell everybody, they found the truth. So this next one I'm going to talk about is I actually don't know. Jeffrey Epstein was killed, and he didn't commit suicide.
Oh,
do you guys actually think he was killed and didn't commit suicide?
I think that he did commit suicide.
He definitely committed suicide.
You do.
And I think that because I think the guy was like a billionaire or something like that.
He was loaded.
These guards, man, you can pay them to do whatever. If you got enough money, a guard can slip in something for you in solitary. I'm sure. If you're a big name guy, and all. Well, I don't even know what he hung himself with.
It was a sheet.
How do you know they didn't just clean out the room before they took the picture?
Well, all I'm saying is that I'm pretty sure he did, because facing the charges that he was coming against, his life is ruined. Obviously he's an evil fucking dude, to have been involved in that stuff. But he doesn't want to face the consequences. He doesn't want to, deal with that. He doesn't want to deal with any of that. So he took his own life. That makes sense to me, right? What doesn't make sense is someone coming in there and killing him to release because he has all this information from some bigger group of some sort. I'm not sure.
The thing on defending the other side, it would be ideal to take care of the problem before it gets
like a mobster. You sound like a mobster.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So what's the problem?
Godfather.
Well, you got to take it from the Godfather, man. You don't leave stragglers.
Wait for his daughter to have a wedding. And
this guy got
caught.
and now he has to die.
Yeah, but they had overwhelming evidence against him. They were getting a case against him.
Right.
Someone else had to do that case for him because he's dead.
Right.
What is it that he had that they didn't already have? Number one.
Names
And who is it
people
that could have killed him?
Other names, experiences.
Well, here's why it's. I think you're right, Nick. I think you're right. I think he did kill himself. But why it was a bit fishy is that it was all so sudden. Like he got put in jail, and within like a few days of finding out that he's going to go to trial, this is a big bombshell. We're going to find out who was on that island and who was he friends with, who was he palling around and giving underage girls to, and then all of a sudden he dies.
I see.
And people are like, whoa, hold on a second here. Was there not any security at the jail and all that stuff? And here's the thing: if these people that you think that are so powerful that they can get in and just kill, they can get him, then it doesn't matter what he says or what he does. They'll just kill him anyway. Mm-hmm. He's dead anyway. He's dead whether he does it himself or not. So it seems to me that it more likely you'd want to take your own life by your own hands, I guess, than as opposed to have someone else kill you. But anyway, out his accomplice is still alive. So good job on these people because they forgot one. And she is still alive, and she's in. I think she got through a trial. I'm pretty, obviously found guilty and all that if she did get through with it. But a lot of shit.
Well, if anything, it'd be I don't know. It's just it is what it is.
Right. Yes, it is.
Well said.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next one. This one's a favorite of mine. The Earth is flat. Also, Earth is hollow and holds an entire civilization. Thoughts?
Wait, hollow, like in the middle?
Yes, there is no core, there is no molten, there's no crust, there's no layers, there's none of that.
I've never.
And it holds an entire civilization.
Like the last world?
Like Journey to the Center of the Earth. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is
like the Jules Verne novel.
My God.
Right. So let's start with the first one. Earth is flat. No,
Earth is flat.
It's just so ridiculous that it's.
I've seen too much NASA pictures to even.
It's embarrassing.
Well, what's funny about that? They'd say those are doctored.
Right.
Oh yeah.
They mess with those.
It is a telescopic lens, but
can you prove it? No. Okay, that's conversation's over.
This goes back to the burden of proof here.
Exactly.
We have tons of evidence to suggest that the Earth not only shows that the Earth is round.
I mean, just look at the moon.
There you go. There's one.
Yeah. Hey, it looks flat to me from down here.
There's absolutely no evidence to suggest that the Earth is flat. The fact that they knew this in the BC areas, like I don't know, like 2000 BC, they knew it, that the Earth was round.
Right.
It's so ridiculous that they need. They did it. One of the things I think, what's his name, Carl Sagan, on his show he did back in the 80s, the Cosmos show that Neil deGrasse Tyson took up. He showed like how the Earth was, how it was found out. One of the things they did to find out that it was round is he took like a piece of paper with like two things sticking up, kind of look like the Washington monuments, these two like towers. And he had it in the sun, and he bent it, and you see the shadow on one go away, even though it's the same time of day. The shadow on the up north, like it's up north, is longer, even though it's the exact same. The sun's in the exact same spot. So the only way that works is if it's curved. If it was flat, it would be the exact same shadow. They did that, like I said, 2000 BC. The fact that this is even still around is embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Right.
Yep. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything much to say on the fact. I remember one time a guy, when I was working in retail, they had me, this fucking guy, he bought a TV, and I had to go help take it out to his car and stuff like that. He tipped me $10, which is I took it. You're not supposed to, but I don't care. He tips me $10, and that whole time he's talking to me about how the Earth is flat, and on the edge of the Earth is a ice wall, kind of like in Game of Thrones. There is no space. It's just like the craziest shit in the world. He looks like a normal person, but he's out of his fucking mind. Like I remember thinking, like, do I
Right.
really need this $10 that bad? You know,
It's
can I
kind of
just
like
leave?
there's a TikTok about this deep diver, deep submarine diver,
Mhm.
and he reached this like plasma area where it's pretty much the compressed version of like hydrogen and oxygen.
Mhm.
Um, and he like they were trying to make it like uh, that underneath that is space and it's not uh, something you can go through.
Interesting.
So they're saying so like you're saying the flat earthers are saying this?
Well, that's
I
the
like
expansion of it. Like you've gone down
oh, I
so
see.
far, and now you've reached the bottom,
Oh,
and you can't get through.
right.
It's another sea, like it's another
Right.
ocean of nothingness. Like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh.
Huh.
So it's like another conspiracy theory inside of the
right?
conspiracy
Yeah.
theory. Yeah.
Like the New World Order. It's all part of the New World Order, by the way.
yeah,
Right.
All of it.
yeah.
And then it's
It all
all
goes
part of the
back
new
to
world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're doing this. That's what they are doing.
So
That's what
I
this
just real
is.
quick before we move on to the next conspiracy theory, I kind of wanted to um you, you may actually have this one, I don't know, but this one's actually like a parody.
Oh, sure.
Like it's not an actual conspiracy theory. It's one that someone made up and thought it would be funny if it took off, I'm sure, and it certainly did. There are people that believe it, and it's wild. It's crazy. It's birds are cameras.
What?
This-
What?
Yeah, that.
What do you
Yeah,
mean birds are
someone. Well, they
cameras?
made
Yeah,
it up.
Oh,
Like
right,
they
right,
obviously
said
it's
right,
you
all
right,
made
right,
can't
up,
right.
pay.
I
obviously.
get you.
But yeah, but they intentionally did it, I guess, because it's a parody. Like it's making a theory, but people took on like they saw it, they heard about it, and they thought it was true. And some people do
Yeah,
believe it that birds are fucking cameras. I guess I'm guessing like the government's
right.
spying on you or something. The thing is that the government is spying on you.
yeah. They
Like
can
they
do it
actually
right
are.
now.
That
You
was
got a
leaked.
phone,
That
a
really
computer.
happened. But there might be other reasons, I guess, maybe if within that conspiracy theory. Now that people have come up with on reasons why the birds
Yeah,
are fucking cameras. So, anyway, continue. You continue, man.
That's okay. Just
Bring that.
my computer just told me that my internet connection was unstable, so I'm not sure if that'll affect anything or not. So, um, we'll move on.
I hope
We'll move
not.
on to the next one. 5G causes diseases. 5G radiation is non-ionizing, so it's not going to give you cancer. So there's that.
Oh boy.
But 5G, the 4G is fine, 3G is fine. All the other Gs,
Right.
clear. 5G,
Right.
too much.
Yeah. It's yeah. Oh my god. I actually got in an argument with a friend of mine about this. And I'm not gonna mention him in like by name or anything, but got in an argument about it. I was telling him the difference ionized and non-ionized radiation, and how there's like a spectrum, right? Right.
Yeah.
And how like the wavelengths, like those waves don't carry that. They're non-ionized,
yeah.
like you
They
just said.
technically can't pass through the skin.
And he was well, they just don't have the radiation, the amount of radiation as ionizing
Right.
waves do, basically. Like not nearly as much to the effect. So much that it would affect you biologically.
Yeah.
And I was also coming up with the argument of, let's say it did. Let's say 4G or 5G did cause cancer. Well, all these people using phones would have cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be an outrageous amount of people, and there'd be a correlation between the two. There would be clear evidence of it.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
It's a conspiracy theory. Right. And it's exactly. And it's also easily debunked as well. I mean, with simple science. Anyway, my friend then called me a Trump supporter. He called me a Trump supporter for trusting in science. I don't know how
Yeah.
twisted that is.
That's weird.
Because the thing is, he wanted to insult me.
Yeah.
Insulting me,
Oh,
calling me a Trump supporter.
right.
So I literally was like, I literally told him that it was weird to say that I was a Trump supporter for trusting in science. Would be the opposite.
Right, you'd be the first Trump supporter that
Right.
does. So
I should be calling
so
you a Trump.
He's probably part of QAnon.
Jesus.
All right. Well, hopefully everything's okay on my end here because you guys keep breaking up left and right. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, again, you just broke up there.
Yeah,
No,
everything
fine.
Keep saying is
Everything.
fine.
Yeah, everything's clear.
Okay. Well, we'll move on here. Next conspiracy theory. COVID-19 was engineered by the media to control the population through microchips and mask mandates.
Incredible.
There's this
microchips are in your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, they are.
They're in your phone. They're in there. That's where they're. There you
go. Can you elaborate on that?
I'm telling everyone. That's.
Are you thinking that people are not aware?
They're in your phone.
Right, are they anywhere else? Are they anywhere else?
Every electronic.
Jeez.
That is funny as hell.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, it's just again. There's also not every single person who believes these conspiracy theories is Republican. Or what was I going to say?
Right. Yeah.
Not every conspiracy theory is believed by a Republican, but if you're a Republican, you probably believe in some of these. It's
yes.
There's an underlining thing.
Probably a redneck.
I could literally go through every single one that I've just listed, and think of only right wingers who think any of this is true. Big Pharma, cure for cancer, right winger. Chemtrails, right winger, or crazy hippies, one or the other. New World Order, crazy hippies, right winger.
Right.
Vaccines cause autism. Same thing. Your internet connection is unstable. Same thing. Jeffrey Epstein was killed. All that stuff. Earth is flat. Guarantee you they're Trump supporters. At the very least. There's the Venn diagram between crazy crackpot conspiracy theories and Trump supporters, GOP members, Republicans is almost a solid circle. It's just fucking weird. There's an underlying and that
Right.
So COVID-19, like I said, being engineered by the media to control the population through microchips, through the vaccines, and through mask mandates. Even though that that Kid Rock song, the awful Kid Rock song, about the mask mandates that aren't even around anymore. There aren't mask mandates anywhere really anymore.
Right.
Microchips that don't exist. They may be in your phone, like Baller says, but they are certainly not in your vaccines. Ridiculously stupid. I've met people who says, "Man, I believe it. There's no reason for them to go up their nose that far. There's no reason for it." And it's and none of them are doctors. Man, none of them have
that's not
any
even
schooling.
The shot.
Right.
I know. You know what I absolutely love about all of this? They think that they don't know what's in the vaccine, but they know there are microchips in it.
I think they're just trying to spice up. I think they're just trying to spice up complying to the system.
Right. Yeah. That is just such as this whole COVID-19 thing. It's just education has taken a nosedive. It's this whole system is fucked. Our free market's fucked. A lot of this shit is fucked, right? And it just makes these theories pop up more and more, and they get more and more outrageous. And eventually, like Idiocracy, we're going to reach Idiocracy at some point. I feel it's not that far away. It might not be in our lifetime, but if any of us had kids, I'm guessing it's going to be in their lifetime. And it's just so sad because it could be so much better. And instead, we're wasting it on this crap. A lot of it. Next conspiracy theory. One of the very first ones that I remember hearing. 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah.
No.
I actually believe for sure, but I was also a naive kid.
Right.
So
there was this documentary, quote unquote documentary, on YouTube that I saw, and I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Short Change 9/11.
Yeah.
There was that. Yeah, there was that. Yeah, Short Change, and there was another one too that had like a whole bunch of stuff. But I forgot all about Short Change. There's another one. But yeah, I remember watching that, being like, "Oh my god!" And jet fuel doesn't burn steel beams. There's no way. How could it fall? And they've gone through it repeatedly, over and over and over again. That it was entirely possible for it to happen, and guess what? It did.
Right.
And
especially if the building is not built up to code.
Well, I mean, other buildings like the Empire State Building had a plane fly into it and it burned for like 48 hours, something like that. But the building itself didn't collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference between it wasn't a 747,
right?
And
it was like
it's almost like a crop dusting plane, but it was just like a small passenger plane. But the amount of weight and everything the floor just collapsed. It just burned through. It created a perfect thing, which is floor after floor. And guess what does collapse steel beams? And a tremendous amount of weight on top of it. And it just boom, and it basically collapsed like any other building would.
It pancaked.
Pancaked essentially.
That's what they. Yeah.
And
it's like you got one center beam, and then you got a bunch of stuff around it. It's all just gonna fall.
Well, that was the plan, is to hit it so hard with something really big, and take that center beam out.
To
make it collapse from the top
down. It's gonna break under pressure.
They originally, I remember there was another terrorist attack, I believe, in the it was like in the 90s or something, early 90s, where they tried to take it out from the bottom up.
Right. No, it was a 93 or 94 was the world. Yeah, they took a couple. They took a couple vans. They parked them in the garage below the World Trade Center, and they blew them up. And like 80 to 100 people died, I think. But the building itself stayed up. And then they went to the top.
What about
and they did it that
missile
way.
that hit the or whatever hit the Pentagon that day too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the plane that hit the Pentagon. The only shots that I've ever seen from that, it just looks like this small fucking hole in the side of the Pentagon. It looks nothing like the World Trade Center. So I don't know about that
or anything.
I don't know anything about that.
The Pentagon is cool because it seems of all of the cameras they only had one.
They only have one,
and
fitting the entrance of the building.
Right.
It's just so weird that they only. Well, of course they had more cameras, but I guess they just didn't have they didn't want to give the public the footage or something, because they got one camera with some footage that was the one that was aiming towards the spot where
technically it would be a crime against the Pentagon to not know what's going around their own building. What the fuck?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, if you watch that video, like, it really doesn't even look like a plane.
No, it doesn't.
It looks like a missile.
It looks like a fucking supersonic.
But I don't want to get too into that. But I only say that because that's literally the only evidence the public was getting.
That's what I'm.
Other than all of the other, like there was stuff from the plane and whatnot, I guess. But anyway.
The Pentagon is designed where it's got like reinforced steel walls within walls within walls. It's designed to get attacked in a sense.
To be able to take that hit, pretty much.
The plane that I saw didn't look anything like the plane that was abducted, I guess you could say. The other that attacked the World Trade Center.
Fighter jet.
Yeah.
But the only thing you have to ask yourself is what happened to those people?
Right. Now, I don't know. It might have been a different plane. It might not have been a 747 or whatever it was. It might have been another plane that they hijacked. Maybe they.
Like-
I have no idea.
Right.
I
Were they
believe when we
doing
did
something
actually,
to cover up
no.
that?
Well, here's
like we're getting into the conspiracy
Right.
theory now.
We're
here's
getting sucked into the rabbit hole of the conspiracy of 9/11.
well, here's what I was gonna say. But so, like I said, it doesn't look like the planes, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't. It doesn't mean like you have to take it. A lot of times when people
Right.
they hear something, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no, it doesn't. They have to take who's to gain from this. What's the
Right.
what would be the point
Exactly.
of this? You know,
Yes. Mhm.
and it seems infinitely more likely that it was a terrorist attack than it is our own. Who would it be? Ourselves attacking? World Trade Center wasn't enough. We got to go after the Pentagon. I guess that makes okay.
Right.
That's also not enough. We're going to apparently go to the White House and just crash a plane in Pennsylvania. It won't make it there. That will be
Right.
told
Yeah.
about, but the other one doesn't. So there are things where people are like, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. But just because something doesn't add up in your head doesn't mean it's a conspiracy. Doesn't mean there's people out there to
Right.
and that's just people immediately jump to that because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they actually, as
Exactly.
much as it, you heard say, it actually welcome this sort of thought process. And so a good rule
Yeah.
of thumb to have is if something is a welcome to you, it's best to double down and critique it and find any holes. Like anything that might be welcome to you is more than likely
Yes.
not what's actually going on.
Well, you want a healthy set of skepticism.
Healthy skepticism. That's what we're asking people.
Yeah.
We'll move on now. The most recent conspiracy that I can think of, the big lie. The big lie is that Donald Trump won the presidency and that Dominion voting machines and the Democrats stole the election with fake ballots and dead people. And literally it was taken, it was over 60 times taken to courts, thrown out 60 times by both Republicans and Democrats. There isn't a single legitimate lawyer who was going to take up that case except for Rudy Giuliani, who's now disbarred. Literally the most crackpot bullshit, obvious nonsense from an obvious charlatan. And yet it persists. It persists. And guess who believes those? More Republicans, more GOP members, more. That's it. All of these, and these aren't politically leaning either way. They're just conspiracy theories. But if you were to go through and list them, more than likely the Republicans believe them more than you would get on the left hand side.
Well, it's like you said earlier. People that believe in conspiracy theories aren't all Republicans.
Right.
But if you're a Republican, you most likely believe in a conspiracy theory.
Almost all of them, I'd say.
Almost all.
Might be a Republican.
Right.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the big lies? Any more thoughts? We can move on. We've covered that so much. It's just obvious lie, an obvious lie.
It's ridiculous.
The big lie is the lie itself.
Yeah.
It is actually
I just remember,
a lie. Yeah. It's just a lie.
I just remember them being like, where'd all these votes come from Joe Biden? But the thing is, like, how like we had the mail-in ballots. Yeah. Guess who the majority of the people went in to vote in public? Republicans, because they didn't care about COVID.
They didn't believe it.
So all those votes arrived first.
What was going on with the U.S. Postal
And then
Service?
guess who didn't?
Hold on, Baller. Let talk, and then you can go on. What's up?
And guess who didn't go in public and vote? And they used mail-in ballots. Democrats, the majority. Of course, not all of them, and of course, not all of them with the Republicans on the public side, but the majority. That's why you saw the massive spike in voting in one direction and the massive spike in another later on. And it's funny how they can't connect the two. They just immediately think there's some sort of, like, are you an idiot? Are you seriously a fucking moron?
Baller, you were going to say? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Okay, so I figured that's why I asked if you remembered. He's like, Baller probably forgot. He's got to get these out, or he won't remember what the fuck he was saying 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's why it's going to get blurred in, or it's not going to
happen at all. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason that the Republicans, I know you know this, but for maybe people in the audience, the reason that Republicans went in droves personally to go vote in person is because COVID-19 was engineered by the media to control the population through microchips and mask mandates. And that's why they were out there, to prove that they weren't controlled by the media. They weren't controlled through microchips and mask mandates, that they were going to be able to do this. And then everyone else was like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to get sick or risk someone else getting sick. So I'm just going to do my mail-in ballot like a normal person. And they counted those later. They counted everyone that arrived in person first. So when you watch the election, I'm watching it, obviously, and it's going through. And Donald Trump is ahead. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? 4 more years? And then by the morning, it was like, oh, all right, thank God. That's over. And that's because they as he called them, massive dumps. There's massive dumps in the middle of the night. Of mail-in ballots.
Just mail-in ballots.
Yep. It was about the postal service. Like, what was going on with it?
Right, and they tried to.
Well,
nothing was going on.
New machinery and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they tried to handicap the post office. They tried to cut them off at the knees. They like fired the headmaster. They tried to make it so people couldn't get their mail until like 4 days after than they would have normally gotten it. Right. They did everything they could to try and prevent people from mailing in votes, because a large number of, urban populations are
like
where to vote is like one place, and it's like
it's
like 45 minutes away, and you have to wait in line for hours, like 8 hours to 10 hours to vote. And it's only for one station, and it's intentionally done so they won't go out and vote. What makes it infinitely easier is when they don't have to do that, and they're just mailed these things.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, okay, then you actually get a pretty accurate number of how many more people vote Democrat than Republican.
Yeah. I think it's really funny, honestly, how a lot of these people think that mail-in ballots are a new thing.
Right, yeah.
Because they just heard it, and they're like, oh, it's a new thing. It's like, no. It's been a long time. The thing is, we haven't had this massive scale before because of COVID. Right. A lot of the fucking people decide to stay home. It's fucking that way.
No. The big lie, which spawned the eventual attack on the Capitol on the 6th. Baller.
It's so funny. I just want to mention real quick how they see that the big lie isn't a conspiracy theory, but the coup attempt is a conspiracy theory.
What?
Morons.
Right. What didn't actually happen in any way, shape, or form is what happened, and what or was what not. You know what I mean.
Exactly. Everything else, like it's already been said. Everything is right there. If you can't see it, you're blind,
right?
Or you're not willing to see it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now you were going to say something on January 6th. You said, I remember you were talking earlier about, if we get around to January 6th, you were going to say something, or you wanted to say something, or you might say something. If you want to, I guess now would be the time.
Well, really, it's just they were just pushing for so they can feel better, but it's not going to make you feel better by putting a tyrant into office and follow a bunch of fascists down a goddamn hole of terrible bullshit. We aren't going to go around and mass kill a bunch of Mexican people just so you can sit at home in your air conditioning and not go to church.
All right. There you go. All right. We'll move on to QAnon. It's another conspiracy. The whole QAnon organization, Q, is apparently this mysterious person behind everything. They have the famous Pizzagate. They started with Pizzagate. The Clintons and Obamas. Sex trafficking, child molestation.
Oh yeah.
And one of the premier beliefs from QAnon is Donald Trump is the savior of the U.S.
Yep.
Now, each one of those things is more ridiculous than the next. Pizzagate, an idea that a pizza parlor is hoarding children from our politicians are hoarding children there to sell into sex slavery while drinking infants' bloods and eating babies and whatnot. But I think the most ridiculous thing is that Donald Trump is the savior of the United States. I think that might be the most ludicrous belief that QAnon.
Oh, don't forget about JFK Jr. either.
Right, he's alive and he's going to run with Donald Trump.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they believe he's alive. They don't
say
even.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States and make him somehow a dead Kennedy is going to make Donald Trump the president of the United States. We have a Democratic conspiracy. It's that a Democrat is doing this to flirt some Republicans. Like he's purposely
the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. It's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life.
There's a Democrat that's Q, and he's just being a dick to a bunch of people.
I was like, throw one. Well, that dude's a dick if that's really happening.
I mean,
Thanks.
What wouldn't happen, honestly.
So, next
conspiracy. We have the moon landing was faked. That was an old one.
Yes, I was hoping to get to this one.
Solar winds.
Okay, so just before we start on this one, you go ahead, Nick, once you do. But let me say this real quick. I only have 3 left. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, never mind. Really? No, I have a lot more. I forgot there's a whole other page.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
8, 9, 10. I have 10 more, but we might not get to them all. I might just pick a few more and then we'll end it. But go ahead with the moon landing is faked. What?
Yeah. As far as I know, people say like the moon landing, like it was filmed in like a studio or something. Right. Like it didn't actually, like we didn't actually go to the moon. Like for some reason we didn't have that capability some way or some. But there's also like people freaking out about like how the flag was waving and whatnot. But really it was just like the vibration of the pole, from when they hit it. And then like the inertia then made it look like the flag was waving.
Gotcha.
Well, it's just simple stuff.
Simple science.
It's very reasonable. You can understand it, and it makes way more sense. And the thing is that they claim that it's like it looks like the flag is waving around in the wind, but if they've seen flags, they probably have one themselves. Just look outside, look at it waving around in the wind.
Right.
Look like that. No.
Yeah.
Like that at all.
How would you know how a flag is on? And why would you be able to speculate against it?
Well, we know that a flag can't wave
it's not going to
necessarily through wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or through wind or air.
Yeah.
But it did move through vibrations through the pole when the astronaut put it down onto the ground.
And when he made flat, it stayed, and when he let go, it kind of popped back.
Yeah, I get they bent it or something.
We're trying to make it straight, but it kept folding because when it go, it motion also shouting it back.
I don't know.
As far as I know, like from what I've looked up, is that it's a vibration from the pole when he hits it to the ground, and that he bent it a little bit when he did that or something, so it makes it kind of look like it's the illusion of like a rippled flag, but it's not. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the point, again, this is one of those things where it's like, well, what would we have to gain? Why would we fake it? Oh, so we can tell the Russians that we got there first. Who fucking cares? Okay. So we got there and now the Russians aren't going to go there? No, they've already been there. We're not going to go there anymore. What is that? What does that even mean? Why wouldn't they go there as well? What's the difference?
Like the South Park
I don't get it. I don't get what the thought process behind faking a moon landing and what we'd have to gain by that.
Right.
Why, the idea that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing, and that there's a lot of nods to that in The Shining with what the kid's wearing. He's wearing the Apollo 11 shirt or something like that.
Connections people are making.
Right, exactly.
They're literally just dots people are connecting that have no correlation, which then is ultimately a conspiracy theory. And all the thing is that not only is there no evidence in any of these conspiracy theories, but when evidence is presented to these people, it's rejected consistently. When, especially if it goes against what they think.
Right.
I really hope that this is going to turn out all right.
It's so strange to me.
Can you hear me?
Recording
I
stopped.
guess it didn't turn.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, I just lost connection or something, and that was it.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. All right.
Just like fade. We could just do like a fade into this. You know what I mean?
I'm worried the whole thing's fucked.
Should be fine.
We'll see. I hope. I'm only gonna do a couple more, and then we'll call it, just so we don't have a lot. Let's see. Let's see. I'll do the last one. I'll do is the one where I think there's actually some credence to it, where I actually don't think. I think there was more at play there. I think more was going on. But before that, I'll go with one of my favorites. Climate change is a hoax.
Oh, geez.
It's either invented by the Chinese or the European Union or something like that to bankrupt America, or it's all about bankrupting America. That climate change isn't real. It would be an insane.
These are so dangerous.
Right. It's such an insane idea. You have to think, what would they have to gain? We're going to bankrupt the United States. The United States economy is intrinsically
in shambles.
Well, it's intrinsically
much bankrupt.
It's intrinsically tied to every single fucking country on the goddamn planet.
Yeah.
Why would you bankrupt the bankroller? It's just going to fuck your own economy. When the United States in 2008 went down, when the stock
market, we can see right now, like when the Russian war.
When the United States went down in 2008, when the stock market crashed and all that stuff, and the housing market burst, the entire world felt that. It wasn't just us. So why the fuck would other countries make up this science, quote unquote? And not only that, United States, our own scientists say the exact same goddamn thing. To bankrupt the country just doesn't make any sense. It just annoys me. It angers me because it's so stupid.
Okay, so can we maybe ease the tension? Stop talking about conspiracy theories. Talk about some real conspiracies.
I couldn't hear it. What'd you say?
Maybe just mention some real conspiracies, kind of break the tension a little.
It's hard for me.
Instead of conspiracy theories.
Well, I had one for. Well, I guess I don't know. Go ahead if you have an idea on one. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Watergate is a good one.
Yeah.
MK Ultra is a good one.
Okay.
Julius Caesar,
the conspiracy to kill him. Yeah.
The conspiracy to assassinate him.
Right. Okay.
The Iranian coup in 1953, orchestrated by U.S. and U.K. All that.
Right. Well, we can get to some. I mean, if you want to go on an explanation, the ones that you brought up, if you want to go through and explain.
Well, yeah. It's crazy to think, but MK Ultra actually did happen. I think it was the CIA, I believe, gave people LSD and basically not necessarily torture them, but there's more psychological torture. Would yell at them and and stuff like that. They were trying to test different drugs and stuff to a truth serum. They were looking for some sort of truth serum.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting, and that actually did happen. And I believe someone actually took their own life.
Damn.
Someone who was tested on. It's very, very deep, dark stuff, man. I think that we all pretty much know all the other ones I mentioned, Julius Caesar. That's a very infamous one. Watergate, another infamous one. The Iranian coup, no one really talks that much about.
Right. Big impact, though.
Just because the impact is massive. But I mean, honestly, we could just move back to the theories, man.
Well, no, it's not.
I just wanted to kind of.
No, go ahead. Yeah, that's
I just wanted to kind of let people know that let the listeners know that these actual huge events that did happen really did happen.
I think that's good that you brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because that gives a clear definition, a clear distinction between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. We've gone through conspiracy theory after theory after theory, and then you come and say, hey, well, let's talk about just actual conspiracies. And then you tell people actual events that are conspiracies that people know and now should be able to at least reference that to tell the difference.
Sure.
So that's good.
The solved conspiracies.
Right.
Exactly.
The conspiracy theory that I'm going to end with here is a classic. There's even a video game based for it. The JFK assassination. Now, this is one that is I'm on board with. I admit it. I'm on board with, and I tell you why. The magic bullet, does not do it for me. There's no way a bullet goes through
and still stays intact.
Well, apparently it's been studied and studied and studied by physics all over the place.
The bullet itself that they gave is in perfect condition. It went through bone. You can't fire a bullet through something as hard as bone or anything like that, and it doesn't affect it in any way. So, like, if you look at the bullet that they have, that's my big issue with the whole thing is the bullet itself, because anybody that's fired a gun.
Are you suggesting that there were two shooters then?
More than likely, there's probably more than just one. There's a handful of things that I've always thought were kind of funny. That doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't involved with it, but it does seem to me that he couldn't been the only one. There's more wounds than there are bullets, and the bullets that were found were in perfect condition. It's ridiculous. There's no autopsy given. It was done by the FBI. It wasn't even done by the people of the hospital. They were thrown out of the room. This is both pro people who don't think there's a conspiracy and people who do.
Right.
Both say that same
That's true.
thing.
It is pretty divided on the JFK. Like, a lot of people do typically believe this but a lot of it was there's no way he could make the shot from where he was.
Well, that's a whole different
turns
thing.
out.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying, all of the different things that are in this conspiracy.
Yeah.
There were two shooters, or he couldn't have taken the shot, or there's no way the bullet could have ricocheted the way it did. Things like that.
The Zapruder film, Kennedy's head back to the left. It doesn't add up to being shot from behind.
Right.
I'm not saying that what's his name, Oswald, wasn't in on it, right?
Right.
But it seems likely that there was more than just one person. Where did they find Oswald?
Right.
He was seeing a movie. Who's like, you know what, I'm gonna go. I got to get this over with because I got to go check out the 1:00 showing's going, and I got to make it. Like a movie theater. Get the fuck out of town, man. Why would you stick around?
Right.
There's a lot of
just shot the fucking president.
Right. It's just, and then he says, and then you add it all up, which just makes things worse. He says, I'm a patsy. He says all that stuff, and then he gets shot in the middle of getting removed from a jail by Jack Ruby, which is insane.
That's true.
This is an insane world. This only reason why I think there might be something to this. It probably is. Not only that, the majority of Americans believe that what was told in the Warren Commission, I believe it was called, was not accurate at all.
Sure.
So majority of Americans believe that, and they keep sealing off the Kennedy files every time it comes up every 20 years, release them.
I thought those were released.
Nope. They send them back.
They
send them back. Most of it was redacted. Most of it was blacked out, and they didn't release the majority of them. So yeah.
Wow.
That just adds to it. If there's nothing to hide, just send it out. And like I said, I don't want to say I don't say that he wasn't involved, but it just seems likely that there's more than one person. There's a whole now.
For something like that on that day where they were,
I think J. Edgar Hoover had something to do with it. Personally, I think that I think with Kennedy wanted to disband the CIA, which was Hoover's baby, and for his apparent, for his mishandling of the Bay of Pigs, which he did. But the Cuban Missile Crisis was his finest moment.
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll go with that. Yeah, but for the JFK assassination, there's been countless books and everything written about it. I don't know, but it seems to me it seems the most plausible for me that there was something more there than what was told.
Right.
and the Warren Commission.
It's crazy. I honestly, I believe that it was just Oswald and that he shot and the bullet ricocheted, and that's what happened. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I feel like that would happen.
But
and
if
then
you,
he just,
I guess
I know I've been down the rabbit hole,
Uh,
but I just feel like it's, I don't know. I don't want to keep reaching,
Sure. I just the bullet. That's what really gets me. It will always be the
Yeah.
bullet, because if I fire
Right.
something and I ricochet it off of anything with that speed,
Mhm.
it's gonna ding the bullet. It's
Mhm.
gonna nick it. It was pristine, as if it had not gone through anything.
Shined.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's the big thing with me.
Like what was the metal
And-
made out of?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No idea.
See, that's another thing. Most things would be like something soft.
Maybe a
I
copper.
don't
I
think
don't
they
know.
use lead anymore,
Right. I see what you're saying, Baller. Yeah.
but yeah, even if you shoot it, it's going to make some kind of impression, and because
Yeah.
it's going to leave scars. It goes
Right.
through a tube.
No, I think Oswald was there. I think he made those shots. I think he shot the president. I think he was a very good shot too. I just think there was probably someone else there. And why would Jack Ruby go out of his way to shoot him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So
no idea.
That's just weird.
These are good questions.
Yeah. These are all like, this is rhetorical. I don't expect Nick to know. I don't know.
No
yeah,
one knows.
right. Yeah,
no one
I do
knows.
know actually.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked,
Right.
because I want to let you know right now. Actually.
But anyway, we've got let's see. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more. 7, 8 more we can keep for another time. But this has been a really fun conversation.
Sure.
I really hope that
I've
everything's
enjoyed
smooth and there's not any breakups, because otherwise no one will ever hear this and we'll have to do it again. But
yeah, that's okay.
But anyway, with that, I will leave you with, I hope you enjoyed our conversation, and will join us again for another installment of History with Hersefat. Don't forget to hydrate, exercise, and to like and subscribe to the podcast. All of these things are essential for your health and well-being. Take care of yourselves and each other.